Okay, I see you live.
We are on live, yes.
I'm scared.
Don't be afraid. It's just live hangout.
It's easy for you to say.
It is. Go for it, Rhonda.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
What's the vibranium for?
I'm glad you asked that because I wanted to take this time to explain my evil plan. Hello and welcome to Game On Girl's first live hangout.
Look at her looking around.
It is. You're live. You are live.
What am I doing?
Sorry, I had the YouTube channel open in the other screen, and it started talking with the delay.
Yes. The delay is a killer.
Hi, people. We're new at this.
No, we're not really. We are, but we aren't.
We are, but we aren't. So I'm Regina from Game On Girl, and as I said, this is our first live hangout. Now that we've had a little blip. I'm here with a few of the writers from the site. We're going to chat today, so why don't we have everybody do a quick introduction, starting with Rhonda.
Hi, guys. It's Rhonda from Game On Girl.
And Mark.
Hi, it's Mark from Game On Girl.
And Jerry.
Hi, it's Jerry from Game On Girl.
Hey! For some of us, this is the first time we've actually seen each other face to face.
Yeah.
So, although we've all been working with each other for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to really quickly send a tweet out on the Game On Girl Twitter to get more people watching us.
Is that more or some?
Some, maybe.
Please come and watch us.
So if you have a Twitter account, you guys can go and hit your retweet buttons and get that link out there.
Oh, sure, why not?
Oh, sure, why not?
What am I here for if not to retweet?
Well, retweeting is a wonderful thing. All right, so we have a few things we want to talk about today. What do you guys got? Where are we starting?
We start with the movies.
Okay, let's talk about
an
the
obvious
movies.
choice.
I think it is an obvious choice, yes. So let's start with the big one that everybody's probably, well, everybody probably hasn't seen it by now. Not everybody in the world, but enough people in the world have seen it that it can be our our starting point. Let's talk about Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So how long has it been out? 2 weeks now? Okay.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks since we talked about it. So, do we want to just do a show thumbs up or thumbs down first, all at the same time?
Sure.
We go 1, 2, 3. Jerry, what are you, man?
I'm up.
All right.
There he is.
Yeah.
All right. So we got
Just
4
don't look
thumbs
delayed
up.
on my part.
So there is complete partiality. There's no consenting view.
Everybody liked it, so, right?
Yeah, I did like it, but I will say that I didn't like it as much as the first Avengers. It was still really good, but I think the first Avengers was better.
Okay, so you like the first one better. Is that a theme for you? Do you generally like the first of a series better?
Most of the time, although I can say I was never really a big fan of Alien, but Aliens is my favorite of the Alien franchise.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. What about you, Jerry? What are your thoughts?
Well, I really liked the film. I don't know if I liked it more than the first one myself. I've been trying to figure that out since I've seen it. I did really like the new characters they put in, especially Scarlet Witch. I thought she was really well done.
I agree.
But there was just something I think really magical about that first Avengers film that this new one didn't quite catch, but it's still really enjoyable and it was really fun to watch.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. I think... Oh, go ahead, Rhonda.
You only ever have one honeymoon, so.
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar to that I've said this as a teacher, too. The first time I teach a class, there's always a certain energy that I can never duplicate again. Because you're new and that like enthusiasm and that excitement for your material just doesn't you can't replicate that, and so I think a first of a series ends up falling into that same category.
Yeah.
It says something though that it's extremely difficult to decide whether or not that the first one or the second one was a better movie. I think that coming out the gate with the second film, he did a great job. I mean, people are not saying, meh.
No, not at all. That's true. Yeah, people are just into it, so that says something too.
And you described it best, I think, Regina, when you said it had a lot of Joss in it.
It did.
It was a Joss movie.
It was a Joss movie. It was very clearly a Joss movie. And I feel like, in terms of fandoms, the Whedonverse is one of my favorite, just in general. In some levels, I feel like I've watched Joss grow up as a filmmaker and a director. And the Avengers movies, for me, are kind of the cap of what is great about what he does. Like, he just hit the mark with both of them so far. With a nice balance of intellectual storytelling, character depth, short quips that you remember, like that Tony Stark moment where he's like looking for the secret door. He's like, "Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door." And then he and he goes, "Yay!" I mean, I just died in the theater. I'm like, "Oh, I love you."
Yes, that's all Whedon.
And that is
go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Yes.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I'm sorry.
Yes. I mean, it's so like, you feel like you're being hugged by the movie.
Yeah.
I love this.
So, Mark, what about the difference in the second one that you saw?
As far as
why it wasn't as good as the first?
I think you guys are right. I think it is, the first one was the first blush of the rose, so I mean, the second wasn't going to ever live up to that. But also, I feel like the editing in the first one was a lot tighter. I felt like it was locked down a lot tighter. Like the beats were really good when they happened. They were just over the top. Like when Hulk and Thor got done, trashing a bunch of guys, and they land in Grand Central Station together, and Hulk out of nowhere just punches Thor right out of frame. Perfect. I mean, just perfect. Yeah. And same thing with the scene where Loki, gets pissed at Hulk and starts trying to berate him, and the Hulk just picks him up and thrashes him and walks away and says, "Puny God." I mean, those two moments in that film are just magic, and I don't feel like there were any moments like that in the second film. There was definitely great moments in the second film, but I don't think any that popped like those two moments did. But again, I did like the second film, and like Jerry was saying, Scarlet Witch is a really cool character. I play Marvel Heroes 2015 a lot, and she's one of my favorite heroes to play on that game. So it was really cool to see her show up in the movie.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Whedon set his path. He's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot from him now. It's very exciting.
Yeah, no, I think I read something that said that he wasn't going to do another Avengers movie.
No, I think they got the Russo brothers are going to do the last two. From what I understand.
Yeah. And I think that that's good. I mean, there's a little part of me that's like, oh. But at the same time, I think having done so well, I think it's a really elegant thing to know how well you've done and stop before you go too far. Which is what I would accuse George Lucas of not ever doing.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Yes, let's beat this until it's dead.
Yeah.
All right, so what other movies are out there that we have to chat about?
Well, I went to see Mad Max today.
Oh, yeah? And?
Yeah. Well, awesome. I thought it was fantastic, but there was a lot of impetus in me going to see it. There was a lot of press. Of course, there was a lot of press on both movies.
Right.
But it was on my list of must-see movies this year. But apparently there was a Time magazine article that came out about it being a very feminist film, and it was a Charlize Theron film. And knowing some very big Mad Max fans, I know that they were very concerned about this because the movie is called Mad Max. Mm-hmm. So, what happens if you have a movie like this with an iconic character, and you're going to reboot it, and the title character is
A second fiddle.
Yeah, and
it-
I'm not saying that's what happened, but it is. It's a very hard film to describe, but it was a blast. It was well made.
I've heard it's getting really good reviews, like on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've seen people tweeting about about the movie. One of them that probably shouldn't be uttered here in polite company, but it was pretty damn funny. But so, do you feel like he plays a second fiddle in the movie, Rhonda?
No, and I watched it with that in mind, which I don't like doing. I don't like going into films because I
Yeah, I
heard
hate that
rumors
too.
about Avengers and some things about Scarlet Witch and stuff like that, and I was like, you know what? If there's something going on that bothers me, it should slap me in the face and get my attention. I left
Yeah.
Avengers feeling great. Mad Max, what I had heard is, well, it's a Charlize Theron show. It's not. What it is a movie about a world. If there are two stars in the film, it is the world of Mad Max and the cars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense too to the original, right? I mean, and I kind of am gonna like question my geekdom here, but I haven't actually seen the first one, so I know a little bit about it, and I've seen bits and pieces here and there over the years, but I haven't watched it beginning to end. So.
Do you mean you haven't seen the first one or any of the original trilogy?
Any of the original trilogy. I haven't seen any of those. So.
Homework.
Yeah, serious.
I don't know if it'd hold up though. It's been a long time since I've watched them. I mean, at least 10 or 15 years, and I don't know if it would be something that you would watch and go, why does everybody love this? Or you'd be like on board right from the get-go. I remember the first time I saw it was at the drive-in theater when I was a kid, and my mom wanted to go see it, and she didn't have a babysitter, so she dragged us along, and we're at the drive-in, and I just remember, like, I don't remember how old I was. I think maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 years old or 7 to 9 years old, and I just remember being horrified by it the first time I saw it.
Brutal.
Yeah, and watched other movies out the back of the car at the other screen because I didn't want to see what was going on in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really cool world as far as a post-apocalyptic settings.
Yeah, I think that's the star of the film, and I think in that effect, keeping that in mind, I think it's a huge success. I don't think it's I tell you what is to me that made me so happy about the film is that you cannot say that this is a feminist film, you can't say it's a misogynist film, you can't say it's an environmental film. It is a film about a world. Everybody plays equal parts and roles. And to me, actually my husband described it very well after we left. It's sort of like Casino Royale was for James Bond. James Bond didn't say James Bond, until the end of Casino Royale.
That's true, yeah.
That's when our James Bond showed up.
Right.
That's the way I see this. It's almost like a prequel, because Mad Max is an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be involved with anyone or anything.
Mm-hmm. You just get stuck in the middle of it all.
And he's there, and he's got to survive, and he really doesn't want to be anybody's hero.
Mm-hmm.
So there's to me, one of the best scenes in the whole film stars him, and I think that's his beginning, and it's toward the end of the film.
Do you know if is it planned to be like a trilogy? Are there going to be more, or is it going to be a longer story?
I don't know, but they can easily do it at this point. Because I think they just barely scratched the surface with Tom Hardy, and I think when you leave the movie, you leave going, I want more Tom Hardy.
Cool. That's a good That's a good thing to leave a movie with. I mean, that's a success for them.
That you want to see more, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, no doubt about that.
And it was nonstop. I mean, you hear people say that, but when the movie starts, it doesn't quit. I mean, it is brutal. I mean, nonstop through the entire thing is nothing but a battle.
Right.
Does it
Intense.
does it have some of those great little comic moments like the original movies did?
Yeah, but not as much. Not as much. Yeah. There's a handful, and a lot of them are in visuals. The dialogue is very limited,
Yeah.
and the visuals are just fantastic. When you were talking about editing earlier about Avengers being not edited as tightly, the editing on this is smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it brings in some of the comic elements.
Cool.
Cool. That's
Good.
awesome. That's good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it, like I said, I think it treated everybody fairly. I think Charlize Theron's story was brilliant, and I love the idea that every cast member played a huge role in the entire film. It was very enjoyable. But more Mad Max next time.
Cool. Very cool. Wow.
So, was there anything in particular that prompted you, Mark? If nobody's checked out the website lately, Mark put up an article last week about his growing despair with the video game industry, and I didn't finish reading it yet. Is there something in particular that prompted you to write that?
Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying it
Naming names and
in the article because I had already kind of picked on them in my last article, which was Steam, and I've gone through these phases with Steam. When I first started with Steam, they originally somehow lost my first account. I couldn't retrieve it. They have no way of contacting them directly or talking to a person. It's all via email and automated and crap like that. And so I really hated them. And then my friends got into Steam and drug me back into it. And for a while I've been pretty happy with it. And in the last couple of years, I think I've been falling out of love with it again. And what brought me to the whole despair thing is I go to Steam to find games that are not AAA games, because the AAA industry is, well, like I said in the article, is pretty much, burn their bridges with me. I've had my fill of crappy launches of games that, in my opinion, there's little excuse for. And this whole piecemealing out of games to us, we go and people now buy a AAA game for $60, $70 a pop, and what they get is a shell of a game so that they can sell you DLC that was already coded into the game, that people have gone and data mined and found is already in the game. It's just not available to you until you buy the DLC.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a real shitty way of treating your customers. So I've had my fill with them, and so I go to Steam, and Steam makes me happy because, hey, indie games, I can play lots of indie games. Well, except for the doors have come off on Steam because they pretty much let anybody that wants to throw up a piece of crap and call it a game do that on their site. And
see, I didn't realize that when I read that in your article. I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, well, basically, in the last, up until actually this week, I've been going and looking at the games probably about once or twice a week to see if there's anything new and exciting I want to check out. And literally everything they're putting up in front of me says early access, early access, early access. And I mentioned it in my prior article that said...
Your article about early access?
Yeah. That says they have a caveat emptor on all those early access games, which says, well, this game may or may not be finished, so, buy it at your own peril. It's like, no, you don't do that. You don't put crap like that up.
It's not only that it may or may not be finished, but it may or may not get finished.
Yeah.
So they may drop this, you may pay $10 for it, and this may be all you ever get of it.
Right, and there's nowhere else in the world that works. You can't go to an appliance store and they have a sign on the front door that says, you can buy one of these and it might or might not work, and we might fix it or complete building it, and that doesn't work anywhere else in the world except for somehow in the world of video games, and that has just gotten to be too much for me. And everything that they were showing me in my Steam queue was a clone of some other better game, like Minecraft knockoffs. There's a very big survival horror thing right now with sandbox games, and most of them are pretty crappy. I've actually really fallen in love with 7 Days to Die, but there's a whole bunch of them out there, and they're all really crappy, and people are just trying to cash in on it. And I feel like there's nothing good happening for the most part. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just not seeing it, and to have to really dig for it is disheartening. So that's.
Well, are you on Steam, Jerry?
I actually don't do much with PC gaming. I have a Steam account, but I haven't touched it in years. So I've always been more of a console handheld person myself. And the nice thing about what I currently have is that Nintendo, I have Nintendo stuff that's like current, and I have a PlayStation 3. So that's where I am. And while Nintendo's getting more into DLC and stuff like that now, I think they're doing it a bit smarter. Like they're releasing the core game, and then they're expanding upon it with like different characters or stuff like that. They're not hiding things away quite as much as some other DLC things have been, and that's kind of nice. But I don't do much with DLC. I usually wait till the games come out later with like Game of the Year editions or something like that. Because then you get like all of that content off the get-go, and then it's been kind of play tested. All the bugs, at least a lot of the bugs, have been fixed, and all the content is generally there. So that's worked out well for me on the PlayStation 3, but Nintendo doesn't typically do that. So I kind of have to play it by ear with them and see if it's worthwhile to get the DLC for one of their things. So I like Smash Brothers, I like Hyrule Warriors. I bought the DLC for those in a couple cases, but that's because I really liked the game. And,
right. You'd already invested in the original, so you bought the DLC because of that.
And like with Hyrule Warriors, I used store credit for that, so I didn't actually pay the $60 for the game. So I didn't mind paying the $20 for the DLC because I already got the game technically for free.
Right.
So
interesting.
That wasn't so much of a bother.
Well, I'm wondering, Mark, there was one comment from Sharon, who's actually another writer for the site, on your article. And one of the things I thought was interesting that she mentioned was that her kids who are also gamers expect that now. They expect that when they buy a game, they'll be paying for the DLC.
That's
and I'm wondering. It is. I know.
Yeah,
it's a little,
terrible.
I was having like what, really?
We've got our little consumers trained.
Oh no, how can we go here? But I think it's an interesting point though to think about profound changes in game culture from when perhaps some of us older gamers who were used to buying, a CD that had the entire game, and if there was a bug in that CD and in that game, there wasn't a patch that fixed it later. You just worked around the bug, right?
Yeah.
And the DLC was not a thing. You bought another game later because you wanted to get past it or a sequel or whatnot. So, do you have any thoughts about that kind of concept and that idea that like game culture is shifting around this?
I think it's just the difference between the generations. To be honest, I think it's probably more to do with it's definitely generational. I'm assuming, I don't know how old Jerry is, but I'm assuming all of us here were around when the arcade games came along and kind of have gone through the entire timeline of video games up until now, and it's only in the last probably maybe 5 to 8 years that this has started becoming a thing. And I think it's okay for those kids because a lot of them were getting into games at that point, and that's just the way it was. Right from the get-go, this is what they were expecting, or what they were exposed to. And we who are older have gone through a period of time where we bought the game. When you bought a game, you bought the whole game. And yes, there might be an expansion down the road, but that was usually a year or two down the road.
Right, or there was a sequel. I'm thinking of one of the games that Ron and I talked about in her very original interview, which was Myst, and how there were like 3 or 4 sequels that came out after that. But you got that whole game. You got the disc, and you had that whole game, even if at the time when you got the disc you didn't have a computer to play it on. See how I remember things?
Visualize what you want.
Yeah,
and it will come to you.
But yeah, I'm 32, Mark, so I'm right there alongside you guys. So
Yeah.
I grew up with the NES, so I definitely know the experience of buying a game brand new and then getting all you could out of it, because when I was a kid, at least, I didn't get games very often. I got them like as birthday presents or Christmas presents, and my allowance usually went into like Ninja Turtle action figures and stuff like that. I didn't think that I should consolidate all that money and buy more games.
Right.
It might have been because of video rentals, because you could go to a store and rent something for a week, and then rent it again if you really liked it. Remember the passwords, because you couldn't save anything back in those days.
Yeah. Wow, that is back in the day. I feel old. Okay, new topic. I don't want to feel old anymore.
Yeah, I've got a friend who asks me all the time, what games are you looking forward to coming out? And there just aren't any.
Yeah, I haven't been excited about anything in a long time, and and I bought the expansion for WoW thinking, and it was great, and I really did enjoy the hour or 2 of it that I managed to play. Before I canceled my subscription again. Oh, it's such a bad game.
Yeah, I'm not letting you guys talk me into that crap ever again.
You said that last time.
Yeah, this time it's for sure. You guys basically proved my point.
I know, we so did. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not just you. You and Ryan, even my wife. It's like, oh my God, come on, people. This crap, and then none of you even want to play at the same time I want to play, or do what I want to do, or whatever.
I'm sorry. I apologize for all of us.
I remember reading something about Blizzard losing about 3 million people after every expansion, about a month or 2 down the road.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, that seems. Yeah.
I'm sure they pad that. They tend to count any of those game time cards that they sell, like at GameStops and stuff like that. If there's even a penny left on one of those, they count it as an open subscription.
Okay.
Which is kind of cheating. That's how they. Yeah. That's we still have 20 million players. No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little sneaky that way for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need a new tune.
Yeah, they do.
It's funny that you mentioned that not looking forward to anything, because that was another thing that made me write that article. There was just nothing on the horizon that had me excited at all. And our mutual friend David emailed me a couple months back and said, "So, hey, what's on your radar for new releases for video games? What are you excited about?" And he gave me his list of things, and I kind of looked at it, meh. You're so negative. No,
I've done that.
Yeah, I'm not negative. It's just there's nothing out there that's really exciting at the moment. It's the same AAA crap fests that have been out there for the last 5 years or so. So
I know I'll buy the next Mass Effect, but I won't buy it. I won't pre-order it.
No, pre-ordering's a fool's errand now. I used to be okay with pre-ordering because I thought, like, in the instances of games like WoW and Diablo 3, where they're going to have servers, that the whole idea behind the pre-ordering was for them to get an idea of what the numbers were going to be so that they can make sure they
prep.
Yeah, that's never happened. Every one of those rollouts
It's always a fail.
is always a server fail. Not enough, server going on. It's like, well, how is that possible? You guys did a pre-order. You knew that you had at least this many people buying it straight out. So you can kind of extrapolate from there how many other people are going to be beyond that. So.
Yeah.
I don't play online a whole lot, so I don't have much to say in terms of that type of expectation. But you would think that with a game like Diablo 3, how big Diablo and Diablo 2 were on Battle.net, that they would totally have that down by the time they came out.
Exactly.
Especially if they're going to require you to play it online to even do anything with it.
Exactly.
So,
That you didn't have a chance to or an option to play those offline. So
yeah.
Right.
it's funny because I don't know if any of you use an app called Time Hop, which like shows you your previous social media from the day. So like every day you can open it and you can see what you've posted previously.
Mm-mm.
And it's kind of an interesting thing. It's like a time capsule of social media. And so it was either yesterday or the day before. All my tweets were about how Diablo 3 servers kept crashing. Oh, I'm so satisfied because I finally got to play it for 2 hours right after it came out. And I'm like, wow, that's really sad.
Mhm.
Really sad.
I know we'll buy the new Batman game.
Oh, I will too, but I'm going to wait.
Yeah. Early
No
adoption
clue.
is the fool's game.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers has been releasing Game of the Year for everything major since, I think, Batman Arkham City at least. So I haven't bought anything new from them in years. I just waited for the Game of the Year for it to go on sale. I got Arkham City for $20. I got the Injustice game for $20.
And all the DLC that came with them that other people
Exactly.
paid an additional $60 for. So
Yeah, you can get Borderlands 2 now with everything for $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth waiting. I mean, it's I don't know. What was it? So Diablo 3 was the last time that I did any buy before it's been out for a while thing, and I won't be doing that again.
Yeah.
yep.
No, Diablo 3 really burned me.
Yeah, I know. We were really excited about it too. We went back through some of our old episodes, Rhonda, and saw us talking about how excited we were when it came out. And
I called it. Didn't I call it?
Did you?
Yep. You guys
I wish
asked
I'd
me if I
listened.
was excited about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll see.
I just want to go back and reinstall Diablo 2 and just play it, just so I can remember what it was supposed to
The
be.
glory.
I've
The
got
glory.
something else for you to do, and it's totally free. Go and download Path of Exile.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, I think you'd like Path of Exile, Rhonda.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
one word of warning, though. You're going to be a little overwhelmed the first time you open up the skill tree.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my god, the skill tree on that game is insane.
It's not really a skill tree so much as a skill web.
Spreadsheets.
It
Fucking
looks like a
spreadsheets.
brain. It looks like a brain. Like if you zoom out and you look at the whole thing, it looks like a brain. So, like the neural connections from a brain. So. Okay, really quick, I just want to thank we have one watcher, so we have somebody who's watching us live. Hi, whoever you are. Thanks. You can leave us comments on Twitter if you'd like, or if you want to comment on the YouTube link, we can see those comments as well. So, for our one person, thanks for checking us out.
It's probably Ryan or Chris.
It might be. There might be a significant other in there. And really quickly, like as a little interlude here, let's show off some geek stuff that maybe we have handy.
Okay.
Handy. You just happen to have sitting by your desk.
Yes, conveniently.
Yes, conveniently happen to have by your desk. I've been sipping from mine, so here's
cool.
Wonder Woman
She's
cup.
wonderful.
Isn't that great? That was a birthday gift a couple of years ago from my friend Michael. So if he ever checks this out, he can see that I do use the cup from him.
You don't use it very often, do you?
I don't use it very often. No, I don't actually.
It looks pristine almost. It looks really nice.
It's in really good shape. Yeah. All right. So Jerry, what do you have as a little surprise geeky thing?
So I had to dig this out of the stuff that I am packing up to move, but it was worth it, I think. So I have a copy of GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 that I got signed by Richard Kiel, who played Jaws in 2 of the films. So let me stick it kind of close.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
That is so awesome.
I used to swear a lot playing that game.
Yeah, I was replaying it a little bit ago, and yeah, I could see why. It's a lot harder than I remembered it being. I don't know how I got all the cheats back in '97.
Well, I was swearing a lot because I was playing multiplayer with our friend Trevor, and he was really, really super good at it and liked to use the remote detonation mines or whatever they were. So you come running around the corner after him, and boom! You would cackle, and then you would swear.
Yeah, my friends and I always played Golden Gun when we played. So we run around, usually in the temple, and try to get the Golden Gun and be the one that everyone was scared of.
Nice.
What have you got, Mark?
I have, and it's missing a counterpart at the moment. My wife hasn't ordered it for me yet, but this is my little PopCap. I think it's PopCap. Is that the name of the company? This is Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. And that was one of my favorite movies from the 80s. And there's going to be a Jack Burton
awesome.
at some point. I don't know if you can see it, but his little hands, he's holding his hands like he did in the movie when he was controlling the magic warrior.
When he got his pinkies together. That's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
So I'll have Tim Burton's, or not Tim Burton, but Jack Burton, sometime here in the near future to go with them.
Cool.
They're making a fortune off those figures.
They are.
They're fantastic.
Well, they're so well done. I have Jane from Firefly. They're so nicely done. I mean, it's hard to beat them.
You can't see them back there, but on my wife's desk somewhere there, she's got Iron Man, Groot in his little pot growing.
Oh.
She has another Groot, and she has Star-Lord.
Nice.
So,
I've got Edna Mode.
What's that?
Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
Yeah, the costume designer.
Darling. Go, fight, win!
Yeah. What do you have for us, Rhonda?
Well, for the longest time, I wasn't paying attention to the back of the Kelly Sue DeConnick's newest writing series is called Bitch Planet, and I think they've got 4 issues out now, and it's printed, at least on the outside cover, very much like just a really old dime store pulp magazine. Printing-wise, and the ads on the back page look that way, which I thought were a joke. But when I read the editorials next month, it said, "Yes, the ads are real." So I started reading them, and they already had prepared Bitch Planet memorabilia that you could order and purchase. And one of the absolute most desirable pieces was this foam finger.
Nice.
And people will notice the non-compliant logo, which is in the this is just, it says everything, doesn't it? I mean,
it really does.
Yes, it does.
You're number one.
Indeed.
Love that.
And I'll show you which number.
I don't know how this machine works. I'm sorry. Well, do any of you guys do summer reading lists?
No.
I have in previous lives, but
I'm just happy when I get a chance to read. It's hard for me to just sit down and read a book. I like to read, but I just get distracted by the internet or by games or other things.
I actually read a lot on the internet now. I don't read books as much.
I do a lot of that too.
Although I did read The Martian a while back ago, and it was delightful.
Yes, it was. It was really wonderful.
I think you read that after your recommendation, Rhonda.
Yeah, it's really great. I think the movie comes out this year.
It was because of your recommendation, Rhonda, and Adam Savage's from Mythbusters on his podcast. They were talking about it and how great a book it was. So I ordered it and laid down at 11 o'clock one night to read it, and then finished it at 7 in the morning and went, I need to go to sleep for a little while.
I couldn't put it down. I just couldn't put it down.
Yep.
And I don't know the last time I was able to say that about a book. It was pretty amazing.
It's one of those ones that you get to the end of a chapter and it's like, oh, damn it, now what happens?
Yes. How's he getting out of this one?
Well, do you have some recommendations? Oh, sorry. What was that, Jerry?
I said that's always nice when that happens.
Yeah, that's sort of the pinnacle of great book moments when you're like, I gotta know what's going on.
Did anybody else read Ready Player One?
No.
No.
It's really it did really well when it came out, and some other people have had some kind of really mixed reviews about it. They're making a movie out of it as well.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's where I recognize it from.
Yeah, I think that the biggest complaint was that it wasn't really a story as much as it was just rattling off a bunch of 80s memorabilia. And so a bunch of baby boomers just felt very nostalgic reading it.
Mm.
I thought it was a good story. I liked it. I liked the thriller of it. He's coming out. The writer of that is Ernest Cline, and he's coming out with a new book in July. So it'll be late summer, I guess, called Armada. I'll read it. I enjoyed the first one, but it's going to be based on the same kind of stuff, the same type of memorabilia. So we'll see if there's more story or if there's just more nostalgia. I don't know. But most of the things I'm reading right now, I don't have anything. There's a lot of things on my list that aren't out yet. But does anybody else read horror?
Are you talking about the Scarlet Gospels? Is that what you're leading into?
Well, I was, but do you read Clive Barker?
Oh, I love Clive Barker. I haven't read much of his stuff lately, but back, in the days of Hellraiser, I read, Books of Blood and
Okay.
The Hellbound Heart and man, I can't even think of it. Some of the Harry D'Amour stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I'm really looking forward to the Scarlet Gospels.
Yeah, I had not read. I thought I had read some Clive Barker, but apparently I hadn't. And so I went ahead and I downloaded Hellbound Heart, and it was too much for me.
Too graphic or horrible?
Yeah, it was just too horrible. The graphics don't bother me, but it was just way too disturbing for me. And I mean, I've always been soft horror anyway, but I was a huge Stephen King fan. And
well, he's really. I mean, he's got horror for sure, but
it's not the same.
I'd probably put him more in suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Who, Clive Barker?
No, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Than horror.
It's psychological. A lot of
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than visceral.
Yeah.
What I would suggest for you, Rhonda, if you want to check out some writing by Clive Barker that isn't disturbing, you should check out some of his fantasy stuff. I can't think of the names of the books right now. I think Weave World might be one of them, because I was never really into his fantasy stuff as much, but he has some really interesting takes on fantasy. From what I remember, it's been a long time since I've read any of them. It's more. It's not like high fantasy dragons and all that nonsense. It's more like the fantasy of the mind, and alternate realities and things like that. So
yeah, because I'm not a big fantasy person either, which is weird because I'm reading a fantasy right now, which is unusual. But
what are you reading?
I went back to Guy Gavriel Kay, the one who wrote Sailing to Centaurium, I think it is, and Mosaic. Those were amazing fantasy stories. They were just absolutely amazing. But I'm reading Isabel right now, and it's not pure fantasy. It's actually set in modern times about a high school kid visiting France, and he runs into all of this fantasy stuff. Apparently, he's got some sort of supernatural past. I just don't like it as well. But it's a very highly rated book. But what got me started, I always get a lot of my book recommendations from Entertainment Weekly magazine, and they'd mentioned some horror stuff. And I've been getting really tired of some of the things I've been reading lately. And I was like, man, I haven't read any horror in a while. And they recommended Within These Walls, and I'm not even sure I could pronounce the lady's name, Ania Alborn, Ahlborn. And this is a situation when you guys brought up the buying games and them being crap. With books on Amazon, when you download a sample, And then when you get the book, if you decide to buy the book, you get the whole book. You know, you don't have to buy extra chapters later to find out the real ending or anything like that.
Right.
So the publishing company at least is great. Well, I downloaded the sample of Allborn's book, and I've never read so many cliches in the first 2 chapters of my entire life. Every cliche you could possibly think of for a horror story. It's like, how could you recommend this book? I mean, I don't want to have to go through 2 chapters of cliches to get to something unique if she's got something unique in here.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
It's not very promising.
No. So I was, you know, in 2 chapters I was saved, you know, having to purchase that book. And
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine, you know, she may be a good author. I've never read anything else by her.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Tim Weaver on the show. He's supposed to be coming out with his next one this summer. But I'm not sure whether or not it's going to be published in the U.S. or not.
Probably not straight away. He's been tweeting about it here and there. About one of the last one that jumped out at me was he said he had spent 8 hours writing 1,081 words and wasn't happy about it or something like that. So.
Yeah, struggling, but yeah, we'll have to. His are intense. His are pretty intense.
I still
But
need
yeah.
to read those.
So, what do you like to read, Mark?
I'm kind of all over the place. I like some horror. I like kind of, I don't know. I just like good books is basically what it boils down to.
Yes.
The last thing I read, like I said, was The Martian. When I was a kid, my big love was Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, and then she, like, after Queen of the Damned, they kind of got really fruity for my taste. I read them all, but I wasn't so excited about them anymore.
Yeah. It's like an Ender's Game.
Yeah, I've read some Stephen King over the years. A little bit of Kuntz. Man, who was the guy that wrote the book with Stephen King?
Oh, yeah.
It was back in the 80s, I think it was.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I read that book that he wrote with Stephen King and some of his other stuff. I can't remember who he is for the life of me.
It's Peter something.
Oh, I still can't get it in my head.
That's all I can remember is the first name. I think it starts with an S, but that's all I got.
Yeah. I'm just really all over the place, to be honest. I do tend more towards kind of science fiction and dark fantasy and horror and such like that.
Regina, I just finished a book you might like. Have you read anything by Sally Green?
I don't think so.
I just finished Half Bad, and it's YA, and it's a trilogy, and it's one of the few trilogies I think that I would actually consider finishing. Most trilogies, they really don't have my attention that much. It's like, oh, come on, guys, I want something else. But it's it's very interesting. It's a witch story. It's supernatural fantasy, I guess, and the witch community is very distinct. There are white witches and black witches. But the black witches are, they're trying to get rid of them. They're apparently just horrible people. Think Voldemort and Malfoy and stuff. Just really terrible people. And so the white witches at least have got a little control over it, but you never know whether someone's going to be a white or a black witch necessarily until their coming of age day.
Oh,
when they turn 13.
There's a movie about that recently. Is it based off of those books?
Oh, I don't know.
I was just wondering about that too. I remember, God, I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't called Half Bad though.
It had Jeremy Irons in it. If anybody cares.
Yeah, he was like the mentor, like on her birthday or something. It was gonna something was gonna happen. I don't remember. So.
me look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please look.
Yeah. But it sounds. I like that. Well, I like that idea of the
It's
coming
very
of the age being significant to.
yes, and it's very significant if you don't perform those rites
Yeah.
at the time of coming of age, and it's much grittier. It's a YA book, and it's got the thing about the witches and a very tame, gentle coming of age type story. It's not heavy handed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that's good.
that there are a bunch
Yeah.
of teenage girls sitting around reading it and swooning. It's kind of gritty, kind of cruel.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Well, I
yeah.
wonder. Yeah.
Was it Beautiful Creatures?
I think it was Beautiful Creatures. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check and see if that's who.
It was based upon the novel of the same name by Cami Garcia and Margaret
okay.
Stoll.
Okay, so it's not the same. It's not the same series.
It sounds like the same premise.
Yeah, it does. It does definitely sound like the same premise.
All the YA stuff is starting to sound the same.
It does have that. I think that's actually one of the reasons why I haven't read that much. I mean, part of that is life circumstances, but I think I'm just kind of done for a while.
Yeah.
And Rana knows exactly how much YA literature I've read, and we're actually exact opposites in that I have to know how the story ends.
Yep, she'll finish that series, man. It doesn't matter how many books you put out, she'll read them.
I will read them.
You have to choke it down.
What was that?
Even if you have to choke it down.
Yes, even if I have to choke it down, I will finish the series, even if I get to the point where I'm like, I hate these characters and I don't want to be reading this anymore. I still
Life's
have
too
to.
short. Life's too short. You just need to if a series isn't worth it, just drop it. If a book series isn't worth it, just drop it. Just go. It's better.
I can do that with a game. If I get to a point where I'm not enjoying a game, I can drop it, no problem. But there's something, and there always has been, there was a, oh God, who's the guy who wrote the GARP book? John Irving?
John Irving.
Yeah, John Irving. I read one of his, I got onto a kick of his. I do this where I get hyper-focused on a specific author. And I think I kind of did that just with YA in general. I got kind of hyper-focused on YA. But I got hyper-focused on John Irving in my early 20s, and his newest book came out, and I bought it immediately, and I hated it. And I mean, I hated that book. And it was 600 or 700 pages long, and it only got interesting the last 100 pages, and I read the whole thing, and I hated it until the last 100 pages. So.
Yeah, my wife used to do that.
Yeah.
But, she used to just read things, even if she wasn't enjoying it at all. She would just go all the way through it and then just throw it away or whatever. But I managed to talk to her about it, and she doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm a little less inclined to it now than I used to be when I was younger. I was very much more steadfast about it when I was younger, but sometimes if the story has if I have a certain investment in the characters in the story, especially I found with the YA, the young adult series, I would get attached to the characters. If I was attached to them, then I would hang in there.
Well, that reminds me of, have you ever read anything by Erica Johansson?
I know that name.
Yeah, the name rings a bell, but I
the
know
Queen of Tyrling. You
No.
might. I'll email you that one too.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was the second one's coming out,
Mm.
and I had never heard of it. I downloaded the sample, and it's pure fantasy,
Mhm.
but I was very surprised how captivated I was by it.
Interesting. All right. I'll
Yeah.
check it out.
So.
I need some recommendations. I should have a little bit. I'm working a little less for the first time in my academic career. I'm teaching less for the summer. I'm not teaching, but I'm not teaching a full load of classes for the summer like I usually do. So
we can party when I get out there.
What was that?
So we can party when I get out there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So does everybody have jobs? Everybody works?
No.
I won't be shortly, but that's because of the move.
Oh.
So I'm looking for work, but hopefully I'll have something by the time we move.
When you're relocating to a different area too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I'm looking for work too, so. Yeah, because I'm in a new area. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because you just relocated too.
It just
Major.
seems to be in the air, apparently.
It does
Yeah,
seem
that
to be
time
in
of
the
year, I
air.
guess.
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's this year. I have lots of friends who are going through major life transitions right now. So
Man, 2015 started off with a bang.
yeah.
Not in a good way. Well, I don't know whether you guys know or not. Of course, I'm a TV fanatic, but Friday, a lot of the networks put out their fall season previews.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether I've already watched them all.
I watched just a handful that were sent out via email.
You were asked to.
I'm not much of a TV person. It's not to say that I don't like TV. I just can't put up with the ads. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna wait until it's on Netflix and binge watch.
Oh, I don't watch on television. I
Oh,
haven't watched anything on television in ages.
Yeah, me too. I do all streaming services at this
It's all
point.
streaming.
Yeah.
Which is what's interesting because I mean, hopefully everybody has seen Daredevil.
oh yeah.
Although
So
I've only seen the
really-
first couple of episodes, but I'm waiting to watch all of it. But
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
I loved it. Yeah.
Talk about binge watching.
God, so much punching, man. So much punching.
Oh my God! Have you seen Mark? Have you seen the video? Where the movie is the TV show is edited to a song, a Chumbawamba song.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Get knocked down.
Yes.
And get back up again.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned I haven't seen it, but one of the things that my wife started saying towards the end of the season, or the end of the series, every time he'd get knocked down, she'd go, "And there he is on his ass again." Every time. It got pretty funny.
It was. That guy got crap beat out of him.
Yeah, he did. He really. Like I said, I've only seen the first two episodes, but I was like, wow, those are some punches. It hurt. It hurt to watch some of them.
I forget, was the fight scene where he saves, what's her name? Is it Karen? Is Karen their office gal?
Yeah.
Is the second episode the one where he saves her when she's
Think
back
so.
in her apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that fight scene is pretty intense. It's
Yeah. Well, and the one that I remember was he was in a hallway. He was trying to rescue a little boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
It was really a good fight scene, but at the same time, it kind of reminded me of the old Scooby-Doo cartoons where they're running in and out of doors.
Yep, and it was. That was an intense scene. That was some
Oh, I
intense
bet.
fighting. I was like, I haven't watched it because I don't want to watch it alone. I want to have somebody that I can decompress with.
Well, if you don't get a chance to watch it before I get out there, I'll binge
right.
watch it with you again.
Yeah, there is going to be a second season. They've already announced
Oh,
that they're
yeah.
doing a second season of it, which I'm not surprised from the success of that.
Yeah.
But
I'll have to watch it sometime.
you should watch it, Jerry. I think you-
Yeah, my wife and I really like the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, so we'll have to give it a try.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely worth checking out, and I think they do a good job of. I mean, obviously, it's not believable this guy's out there being a vigilante any more than any superhero thing, but the fact that he doesn't just take a punch and walk away and everything's fine. It's every time you see him after a fight, he looks like he's been in a fight and he's wincing and hobbling or doubled over or something. So I like the fact that they actually
He has
show
to
you.
recover.
But there's
I like that he
consequences
has to
to getting your
recover.
ass kicked.
Yeah, and it makes sense for Daredevil to be the vehicle for that, because his superpowers are not anything physical so much; they're his senses.
Yeah,
Right.
just perception.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's cool. So, Rhonda, what were some of the videos that you had, or some of the highlights of the TV?
Yeah, I was just going to just do a sampling article coming up tomorrow about all of the previews
Okay.
for the major networks. So
Cool.
ABC, CBS, CW, which I'm sorry, I don't like CW, but
They
I
actually have
mentioned.
some okay shows on, surprisingly enough.
But she probably doesn't like the fact that every one of those shows seems to need to have a club scene or a dance scene in them.
They're I don't know. They're just
Isn't
so
Arrow
predictable.
on CW? Arrow and
Yes.
Yeah. Arrow and Flash.
Flash. That's what it was. I was trying to remember. Yeah. So.
And my favorite show of all time, Whose Line Is It Anyway? But that has nothing to do with superheroes.
No.
But it's still a good show.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And say I love Supernatural, and I just don't. I don't know why that one hit with me, but nothing else on there does. But also Fox and NBC. So there's a ton of new shows coming out, and we're just going to talk about one or so from each of the networks. One of the ones that made me nervous, because I had heard rumors that they were going to try to bring the Muppets back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But the trailer's out.
Yeah.
So who all got to see it?
I did get to see that one as well.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So what do you think?
I think it could be pretty good. I say very hesitantly, depending on how adult they decide to get with it.
Yeah. Yeah. The trailer was promising because it did show the Muppets as they are self-aware that they're in a TV show and they're poking fun at things, which I think is what they do best.
Yes, I agree.
And so I'm hoping that they can keep that spirit through it without making it too corny or forced. The trailer seemed to indicate they might be able to handle it, but we'll just have to see once it actually comes out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, What was that?
What did you think?
Oh, I thought it looked really good. It was really different from what I expected, which I appreciated. I appreciated that it kind of threw me off kilter from what we've known and what we've loved about the Muppets. This is not that Muppets, and I think it's a good. What I'm noticing about children's movies is that a lot of them these days are written for the parents, which is delightful for the parents.
Yeah.
But I really like that this is written for adults, but just written for adults. It's not, here, we're marketing this to your kids, and it's really for grown-ups. This is just for grown-ups. And I think building on the nostalgia of the people like us, perhaps, that loved the Muppets from when we were kids, because that was like one of my favorite shows, I think is a really brilliant move on their part. I think that's, in terms of marketing, in terms of, who's going to watch the show, I think that's brilliant. And it's, I love that they were making fun of the devices even. They're like, oh, let's, what the whole thing with Gonzo was like, oh, well, and they show you saying one thing in a one-on-one interview and you say completely the opposite in the group, oh, that's so overdone. It's like, bingo, I love this.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is that they better have the two grumpy old guys from the balcony, or else.
Yeah, they were in the trailer.
They were in the trailer. So
were they? I didn't see them.
Yeah, they're at the end of the trailer. They're at the end of the trailer. So.
I cut it off too quick.
Yeah. Just
they
like
were my dad's favorite.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I loved them too. Even as a kid, I thought they were funny. So I think they're funnier now, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, there are some superhero type stuff coming out. I mean, a lot of geeky stuff. A lot of the genres that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it until in the past few days that they were going to be doing Supergirl on CBS. Has anybody gotten to see that trailer?
I watched that one.
I actually saw a commercial for it on TV the other day, and was surprised. I was like, "Oh, Supergirl, huh?" So
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Rhonda. What do you think?
I was very impressed.
Me too. I was like, I wasn't ready to be. I was ready to be like, whatever.
Yeah, and it's very difficult for me to be impressed, especially when it's going to be a teen, and she's definitely just coming into her own as a woman and as a superhero. She's a kid,
right?
And I guess that's the whole thing about a CW. Part of the reason why I don't like that is the young adults thing. But I think they're handling it really well.
I thought so too.
It was very relatable, and they were. I think the biggest thing is they seem to be respecting the character and respecting the idea that she's like a real human being.
Exactly. That's what I liked about it too. Was there was so much foible about it, you know, like stumbling and watching her like run and try to figure out how to fly. I loved that moment, like watching her run down and she's stripping off like her clothes as she's trying to get more aerodynamic to take off, and not that she gets naked. Don't go there. You?
I wasn't.
I
Get out of my brain.
wasn't.
I wasn't necessarily pointing fingers at you guys, the general person.
Is there one viewer that we have?
One viewer, yeah. Don't go there, viewer.
Are they still there?
I'm not a Superman fan either. I'm not. None of the supers are that big.
You know, he's pretty unrelatable.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that she was probably going to be that way too, and I think that's why the human aspect of her and the kind of tripping and the, you know, the adolescence of it, I think is brilliant in terms of making it that kind of character who is invincible, who can stand up to bullets, who can fly, blah blah blah, have more of you know, oh, I can relate to this character and this is interesting. So
yeah, because Superman's really unrelatable to me because he's like perfect, and there's really hard. It's really hard for me personally to ever get into his character, into his story arcs at all, because he seems to have a solution to everything.
Right.
And that's just there's no tension with him really.
Right. Yep.
And like the only time I think I actually liked Superman was in the Injustice video game where he was the villain. And so that was kind of different because he thought he was doing the right thing, but for the wrong reasons. So that was interesting. But that's the only time I've actually been like at all interested in the Superman universe whatsoever. But I'm glad to hear that they're treating this particular character with some humanity and showing her as she's developing the notion of being a superhero. I think that's important.
It is really, it's really different. It's a really different approach than sort of that show up and have a perfect hero, lawful good, you know, doing all the right things kind of guy. So I think it'll be interesting. And they harkens back to him as well. It talks about him as her cousin. So it's interesting. You know,
unfortunately, everyone, I've got to cut out.
Okay.
So
thanks for
been a
joining
lot
us.
of fun, though. Oh, absolutely. We'll have to do this again.
Terry.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're going to try to do this Monday. Thanks.
Yes. Wait, my camera's reversed. There we go.
All right.
All right, thank you guys. I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Well, the other CW is going to be putting out. There's just so much superhero stuff, but apparently there's
a lot.
Huh?
There's a lot. I noticed that. It was just something I noticed the other day. I was thinking about like.
Because it's the thing that's making money right now. They're
going
to pound that into the ground until nobody wants to see it anymore.
Yeah. Just like vampires and zombies.
CW's putting out DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
I watched that one, and you know what? I don't remember it.
Nope.
Which is
completely forgettable.
Completely, like I don't remember anything about it, which is interesting to think about. I know I watched it, but I'm.
Yeah. It's CW. Sorry. If there's an advocate for CW or the trailer, please just jump right in and we will read your comments.
If our one viewer who is watching
there are no fans here.
Is our one viewer still there?
Yes, our one viewer is still
there. All right, time out to wave at the viewer. Hi.
Hi, viewer.
Thanks for viewing.
Thanks. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it. So I view the shows that I watch that are on CW are very much guilty pleasures. Like I watched Heart of Dixie, just because it was a cute little horrible show. No, you just scowled at me, Rhonda. Was that a scowl?
You're not supposed to have guilty pleasures. Isabella wrote about that not too long ago.
Right. All right, welcome. All right.
I have
just a pleasure then.
I have a total side note. I have a theory for why people have guilty pleasures, and that's just because the thing that they like that's a guilty pleasure doesn't fit into their normal view of themselves as a person.
Yeah, well, that's part of what Isabella was saying too in her article, was it's outside of who you think of yourself, and so my guilty pleasures tend to be my most unfeminist, media.
Just about passed out.
Oh, yeah.
What did she say? I didn't hear it.
Oh, I said my most unfeminist moments. My most unfeminist are my guilty pleasures, or things that I don't think are very feminist. So.
Oh yeah, I got that. Okay.
Yeah. So. No.
Well, one that is more interesting, but a lot more elusive, at least until the trailer came out Friday. It's given a little bit of a hint. I've heard about this a long time ago, and the only face of it was Jamie Lee Curtis. And it's on Fox, called Scream Queens. But I can never find out anything about what it was really about. But they actually have put out a few videos, and it looks like it's going to be a slasher TV show.
Yep, that's what it looked like.
Yeah,
in a sorority house.
It looked, well, first off, you have to point out that they put right at the top of the of the trailer, from the makers of Glee and American Horror Story. It's like,
that tells you everything.
Yeah, you don't need to watch a trailer after that.
That's still not a chocolate in my peanut butter moment.
No.
And when I watched the trailer, I thought to myself, this looks like it's going to be a lot more Glee than it is American Horror Story, at least from the silliness that I saw. So I don't know that I would be interested in it.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm going to get as much Jamie as I probably would want.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, you know.
I'm surprised she's doing anything, because I read something a while back ago that said she was done with acting. She wasn't really worried about fighting.
Yeah, they say that, and then their pocketbooks run a little thin.
Maybe.
Well, who knows? She's probably only going to be on there a couple of times anyway.
Yeah, it could be just that they, a name to draw you into it. Like, it certainly piqued your interest, which was,
Yeah, and I mean, I thought that it was going to be sort of like a mockumentary where she was a host and they talked about different scream queens or went through the life of a scream queen or something like that. But it's a sorority show, and it's going to be all about the girls and getting killed in dark corners in some guy's bedroom. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Because the lead character on it was on the last season of, not the last season, but the third season, I believe, of American Horror Story. She was one of the witches.
Oh.
She was good, so we'll see. She may be a new Scream Queen.
I guess we'll see. All right, what was the last one that you had? I think there was one more, right?
The last one is the absolute best, the most unique and original one that I saw a trailer for. The most hopeful. Didn't look like it was a copy of anything else. It's on NBC, and it's called Blind Spot. And even with seeing the trailer, even if I feel like I describe the trailer, I feel like I'm giving stuff away.
And I also don't think you could describe it in such a way to do it justice. When I went and looked at that, the first thing I said was, oh, well, this looks intriguing. I don't know that it'll hold my attention for any amount of time, but I'm certainly willing to give it a shot now.
Yeah, it's at least got the most original concept.
Yeah.
And it asked the most questions. The trailer was put together well, where I want to go in and it's like, okay, I want to see what they're going to do with this. So. Yeah. And the actress, did anybody recognize the actress?
No, I didn't.
Lady Sith from Thor.
Oh, it's Jamie?
Yeah.
I did not recognize her.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just a sampling, and there were some really, really crappy ones that I'm not even going to bother mentioning besides the CW.
Okay.
We gotta find a fan of the CW and have CW represented.
We should find somebody. See if we can get somebody from the network to come talk to us on Hangout.
No, they're just marketing. We need a fan.
Okay, we need a fan. Okay, we'll find one.
Does Isabella like anything on the CW? I only ask because she's, a skosh younger than the rest of us.
Gosh.
I'm saying that nicely.
Yes, you are. You are. Maybe we can ask. We can find out. She wasn't
That's a good
available,
idea.
but that is a good idea because she would definitely have a different perspective, I think, than some of us old codgers have. Okay. Well, we didn't have this on the agenda. I'm gonna throw it out here anyway because I haven't talked to anybody about it, and I'm kind of bursting at the seams to mention it to Rhonda. Anybody know?
No. What?
The Big Bang Theory finale.
Oh, right.
I forgot.
That's okay. That's okay. I didn't because I had to talk to somebody about it, and the only
Okay,
person
okay,
I could
okay.
think about was Rhonda. I needed to talk to Rhonda about.
Okay, well, you better. You guys need to talk first. about
Okay.
it.
Why do
Okay,
we
we
need to talk first?
'Cause I don't think she's gonna like what I've got to say.
Oh, I don't know. I don't mind. I'm really glad I had the camera on you for that one. I don't know. I don't know. Well, Mark, what are your okay? So, spoiler alert. Ping, ping,
Big
yeah,
spoiler alert.
ping, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Bling, bling, bling. End of season. Is it 8? 8? Season
Yes.
8. End of season 8. Spoiler alert. Okay, I'm making.
So
making
can we
flashy.
see our listener's name?
No, I can't figure out how to do that.
Dear listener,
Dear
we
listener.
really spoil.
Yes.
We're talking directly to you because we want to be sensitive to you.
Yes, exactly. And this is being recorded and it won't be available on YouTube for people to watch later. So.
Oh, well, I don't care if we spoil it for them. They didn't.
Okay.
They didn't.
Okay, because they weren't here. They weren't here.
I'm kidding. I love you all.
All right, so the end of season 8 for The Big Bang Theory saw major changes in pretty much every relationship on the show. Penny and Leonard are headed off to elope to Las Vegas. Bernadette and Howard are trying to break up with Stuart, which I knew wasn't going to happen because Stuart is like the perfect foil for the whole show, so there's no way he can go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Raj was trying to break up with his girlfriend, but told her he loved her instead.
In the graveyard.
In the graveyard, right before they're about to have sex, which is just like a whole nother thing. And Sheldon and Amy, after having an incident with Sheldon, essentially says, we need to take a break from our relationship. And, that's code for, I'm pretty sure we're breaking up. And then Sheldon pulls out a wedding ring.
After they've stopped talking to each other on Skype.
Yes. After they stop talking to each other on Skype, he pulls out a wedding ring and says to Gollum, what am I supposed to do with this now? So.
Because you're the expert. What should I do with this ring?
Yes, you're the ring expert. All right, Mark, what do you think? What were your feelings, thoughts, if any?
I love the show, so I find very little about it that I dislike. I love the writing. I love the pacing. I love all the characters in the show. So I didn't really have anything negative. It was kind of funny, too, because I wasn't really watching it directly. I had it on over my shoulder, and I just happened to get up and see that scene, as it unfolded.
Which was with Sheldon and Amy?
Yeah, with the Sheldon and Amy, with them her basically breaking up, and then him, turning to Gollum and saying, "Well, you're the expert. What should we do with this ring?" And both my wife and I are like, "Oh my God!"
Right. That's exactly what they wanted.
And I really loved the fact that it was from him talking with Amy, and at least I got the feeling that it was from him talking with Amy and why is his name?
Penny and Leonard, you mean?
Yes, Penny and Leonard. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, when he was trying to figure out why they weren't married,
Why they hadn't set a date, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
And I took it that with him trying to help them figure out why they hadn't set a date yet and all that, that he realized that he should actually was ready to be in that kind of a relationship with Amy. So I thought it was kind of a bittersweet thing at the end, and I really like it when they actually get past the silliness of Sheldon's neuroses and he has those real human moments occasionally. So when that happened, I was like going, "Aw," but
right, yeah, okay.
I thought it was good.
You thought it was good, okay. I thought it was completely out of character. I don't buy it for a single second. I thought it was one of the first times that the writers just took him a place that I don't think he would have gone with his character. And I think they did it for that, oh my God, it's the end of the season and I have to watch next season. I was pissed. I'm still pissed. And I'm like, this whole season had a couple of moments where I was like, I still think we're moving in a direction that I don't think is indicative of Sheldon's character. And I was really kind of like, okay, I'll kind of let this go and see if they play with this. And then when he pulled that ring out, I was like, no. He wouldn't have done that. I really, truly believe that was completely out of character. So, Rhonda?
Yeah, it was nothing fit.
It didn't. It really, right? It smelled.
Nothing
Yeah,
fit.
but you gotta think back to all the other kind of breakthroughs with Sheldon. They're never things that are worked up to. They're always things that just happen, and that part of the dam is broke and they move forward. Like the first time he held her hand, the first time he kissed her on the train.
Yeah.
Things like that. To me, it's like with Sheldon, it always happens at like a lightning bolt. It isn't like a up.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I think for me, there's a certain like Sheldon doesn't care about social conformity at all. Like, that's not a thing for his character.
I don't think that's true, though.
I do. I really do.
I just watched the episode the other day where Amy talks about the neuroscience experiment, that's or psychology experiment where subjects could fall in love with each other by answering these questions back and forth truthfully, and then look deep into each other's eyes, and they'd fall in love.
Yeah.
And during that, when they're answering the questions, he says some pretty telling things to Penny, like how he wish he could read everybody's minds, because then he wouldn't be awkward in those settings and trying to figure out what people's motives are, or what they're thinking, or why. So I think, yeah, he's socially awkward and he doesn't follow social convention very often, but on the other hand, when people say, Sheldon, it's the social convention, he'll go, oh, right, it's the social convention, I'll do that then. And there's things where that happens on and off throughout the series. So I'm not saying that it's 100% perfect, but I think it does kind of fit in the way that he kind of falls into these moments with Amy and everybody else on the show, really, where he kind of has these breakthroughs where he's, oh, I'm a person. So I'm not saying that you don't have a right to be rankled or anything like that, but to me, it didn't just jump out at me and say, this is impossible. I thought, yeah, it definitely was a moment that they planned for, pure shock value. That's what they do. That's what they always do at the end of a season.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so far-fetched to say that Sheldon might have decided that after watching, talking Penny and
Leonard into
Leonard through that.
Moving into it, yeah.
And I think what he was doing there was also talking himself into it.
That could be.
That's the gist of what I was getting when I was watching that whole thing.
Okay. Maybe I'll give it a little bit more. I don't know. I still think not completely convinced that it's not out of character for him. It felt very out of character.
Were you expecting it? Were you like watching and waiting for it to happen at the end of the episode?
I very much had a feeling it was headed in that direction. And
you had already made up your mind that you were going to be angry if they did it?
Yes.
I think you should watch it again when they re-air it. And well,
I mean, I watch them all on CBS.com anyway, so I mean, I could go back and watch it now, but I'm still I have to let my emotional.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched it, I mean, I wasn't expecting anything at all, and so it was the whole thing, like Mark was saying, when it happened, I went, and I sat there forever, just like this, going,
did that just happen?
Yes. But I think the difference of opinion that you both have, to me, it speaks volumes to the show, because I think the characters are Play-Doh. I don't think they really have any solid agency at all. I think that whatever they want or need the characters to be,
they just make them into.
they make them into that. I mean, the
Hmm.
Penny and Leonard story is very tiring.
Yeah, I'm over it too.
It's to me that they have not done a really great job at all in creating that relationship with those two. That I mean, when they got
It had
engaged,
so
it
much
felt
potential.
forced.
Yeah, yeah. It had potential. You know what had potential that didn't follow through for me was her new career. Like
Yeah,
I really felt good about that, and I really felt good about like where they were going with her character. And I just feel like it just went like
yeah.
it didn't go where I wanted it to. And then the conflicts between her and Leonard about it are over money, and it just there was so much more that could have been there that just kind of like
Yeah,
bottomed out.
it's a good 30-minute sitcom.
It
That's what
is.
it is.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
two broke girls. They've
Yeah,
got great writers and it's extremely fun.
yeah,
But if you're really invested in watching a characterization, you're not gonna get it there. I mean,
yeah.
I don't like what they're doing with Bernadette. Howard never grows up. He keeps acting like an adolescent. Stuart is very interesting.
Yes, I agree.
And
Stewart, I feel, is like the most interesting character on the show right
yeah,
now. Like he's got, different things going on. He's a different
I was
person.
glad
So.
they finally got Raj a girlfriend.
Me too.
And I don't know why she has to be demented. And
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why Amy takes crap from Sheldon.
Yeah.
And so that's just the kind of show it is. So I just kind of enjoy it for the fun of it. Everything they did in that last episode, I was constantly going, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it because
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever get anything more out of it as far as characterization because it's just not consistent at all.
Well, and yeah, I think that I'm gonna think about them that way from now on. I think, or at least incorporate that into my thinking. Like, not that they're consistent characters and that they are just sort of, like you said, Play-Doh. I really like that as a metaphor for how they treat the characters because I really did feel like it was out of character for Sheldon. So
Yeah, I mean, when it was over, I was like, he wouldn't do that.
exactly, yeah.
But I mean, what was I think what was brilliant about it is the writers knew that.
Mm-hmm.
The writers knew what Amy wanted. The writers knew what the audience wants Amy to get, and they know what they want Sheldon to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the writers are just smart that way, and at least the writers are consistent in that. And I think it's the same way with Two Broke Girls. Every single time you sit down and watch the episode, you know exactly how they're going to act. You know exactly what they're going to say, and they just keep doing those things.
Yeah. Well, that's
So every episode's like a pilot.
that's every. I think I shouldn't say every,
It's
but
a
I think
genre.
that's most sitcoms. But
Mm-hmm.
I like
It's a
that they
genre.
do those things every now and then with Sheldon that make you go, what?
Oh
Because
yeah, I love the train thing.
yeah,
I love
Yeah, I thought the train thing I could hang with. I felt like that had some emotional grounding to it. And
well, if you go back and watch that episode, you'll see that there is emotional grounding. Because I was watching that episode or that scene with them, and I'm watching Sheldon. I'm like going, why does Sheldon care so much? I mean, normally you think that Sheldon's just pushing to be Sheldon, but I felt like he was at something else when he was doing it. And
okay,
so
I'll give it another watch.
when that happened, I was
Clear
like,
my
everybody,
nostrils thinking about it.
yeah, doesn't work for me. My wife and her sisters flood their nostrils all the time. I don't care. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my god. But at the same time, I was like going, yeah, in the context of that scene, I believe it because I feel like he was working up to something in his mind. It wasn't just him, poking at Penny and Leonard. And I like when they do those things with Sheldon where he surprises you and he does human things because, I mean, his character's fun and all that, but there are times when my wife and I watch the show and he's like, everybody, who's giving me a ride to the train store or whatever? It's like, piss off, you're an adult man. Take the bus or get a car.
Well, I feel that way about those moments with Sheldon. I feel that way about Penny and Leonard's relationship at this point. I'm like, You need to go somewhere else with this. And like I said, I had real hope with her taking that new job and having a different kind of agency, and I think it really just fell flat. So I'm sad about that.
You guys are ruining it for me. Just ruining it. Because now I'm thinking about it this season, I'm like going, yeah, it kind of was just there at times, but still, I still like the show. I still like
the show. I'm still gonna watch the show.
I love the dialogue.
I love, it's got a lot to it that I really enjoy.
I actually didn't even start watching the show when it first came out. I was
I didn't either.
Intrigued, and my ex-wife at the time would come in and watch it while I was on the computer, and I wasn't watching the show, but I could hear the dialogue and the jokes they were making, based off of, scientific principles and stuff like that, and just how quick and witty it was, and I was like, okay, this show is a little something else. I think I'm interested in it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was my last thing that I wanted to make sure we got a little discussion.
I'm glad you remembered. I totally forgot about that. And when I sat down to watch the finale after you mentioned it, hey, let's talk about this. I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch that. And the whole time I was like, oh, now I know why she wants to talk about that. Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah, I actually thought, I'm like, I wonder if Rhonda and I are actually going to agree on this for once.
I think you were totally on the I hate it column, and I was more on the I love it column, and I think Rhonda kind of fell solidly somewhere in here.
Yep.
And that's the kind of show it is. And
that is the kind of show it is, yep.
Yeah. I still think the writing is very, very smart.
I do too.
I think that they get derailed sometimes, and they aren't solid in the direction. And it probably in the fact that they want the characters to change or grow, but at the same time that the premise they've set up doesn't necessarily.
They need all the shit. If they don't have all the chicks, they don't play off of each other.
I love the episodes, and they spent more than one doing it. I love the episodes where they honored Howard's mother.
Oh, I agree. Those were my favorite of the season. They were really well done. They were beautifully written. They were crafted. The acting was outstanding. I mean, just it was good. And and there are those moments in the show, and I really hang on for those moments. And really I could have kind of hung on with the they've been poorly writing Penny since the beginning. She still doesn't have a last name. I thought for sure, when they went to get married, we'd finally learn her last name. She's a main character on the show. She has no last name.
Can I tell you something about Penny, though? I know from a feminist standpoint, everybody hates Penny. I like Penny a lot. I like the fact that she holds her own with those guys. And the best part about it is when she is having a problem with those guys, she basically can threaten them with fisticuffs. and they're like, okay.
They're a little scared of her.
Yeah, they are a little scared of her. And I don't dislike Penny's character at all. I think actually that that Penny's character is a good character. I think she's an interesting character, but I think that the writers have kind of fallen into a couple of traps with her that I think, some tropes, some retelling of the stories that they do that they could break out of very easily and give her a little bit more agency and a little bit more power, and I think that would be, I don't think those would be bad things to add to what she already has. She's pithy. She is that character. They talk about in Shakespeare where it's the character of the fool who can tell the truth to the king.
Yep.
And that's Penny. Penny is that character, and she's fantastic at it because she will just cut them to the chase with one line. There'll be all this like da 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 da, and she's like, boom, done.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that that's great, and I love that it's that's a female character having that. I just think that.
I love the fact that
a little bit more.
There's an episode where the four of them are the damsel in distress, and
oh yeah, the one with the bully, with the guy who stole
Zarnecki.
Yeah.
And she takes them back there, and she whops them one in the nuts, and gets Sheldon's stuff back. And it's like,
that
was great.
How
that
can
was
you
great.
dream about her at that point? Because she's the hero.
Yeah.
She slays the dragon and saves the boys.
Yep, exactly. She's great. And I love that about her, and I love that about her character. And I just want a little more for her.
That gives that shows the depth of the writer's potential, because that was a trap that the boys were stuck in.
Right.
in this identity from high school about being beat up, and that they couldn't overcome that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And now, as adults, what they needed was someone from the outside, as an adult, to handle the situation and show them, you are grown up now, you do not have to stay a victim.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds really heavy for the type of show that it is, but I think that's what the smartness about their writing.
Right, exactly, and those are the moments that I love, and that's one of the reasons why I love the show so much, because they do have those moments that transcend, and where you have those stories that are told that way.
Yeah.
And they're important and they're useful, and so when you get those moments, I just get when they're not there.
So, what do you guys think the deal is with Raj's girlfriend? Because I have no clue as to what they're planning with her or where they're trying to go. I don't think she's his real girlfriend. I think she's going to. It just doesn't feel right to me. I think they're going to drop her somehow. Whether Raj breaks
well,
up with her.
they've kind of
or
painted
vice
him
versa.
into a corner where he has to. That's kind of the direction that has to go now.
Yeah.
Well, that may be what all of next season is about, is pulling back the layers on her. But I mean, it could very well go to the direction of like Raising Hope. She turns out to be a serial killer or something.
Oh God, I hope not. I think that would be a little too heavy for The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet they could write that funny.
I bet they could too.
Yeah, I think it would look a lot like an episode of Scooby-Doo with all of them running back and forth in the hallway, though.
In the doorways.
Yeah. That'd be good. That's a great challenge.
That would be.
It would be.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And didn't she have sort of like her house that had weird decorations or something? What was her?
No, in that episode, she wanted to buy a severed head with nails in it and make a lamp out of it.
I know, but Raj, the first time he went to her apartment, did she have a bunch of taxidermy or something, or what? What was it?
I remember him getting into her nightstand in
Yes.
her bedroom and finding like some weird magazine or something like that. I think I can't remember.
Okay, yeah.
But it was more about him having gotten into
Moved
her.
into her stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a weird character. I mean, it's not that
She's
there
a
are
weird character
that are out there that are into the macabre, because I am. If you were down in my parlor, as I like to call it, you'd find that I have skulls all over the place. So, I mean, there's people that like that kind of stuff. That doesn't necessarily make them bad, but she seems kind of weird, though.
She seems out of place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Out of place. That's how I look at her. She seems out of place, and I don't know. We'll see what that.
And I also didn't like the bit with her and Penny hating each other.
Yeah. Well, that's just so typical, cheap storytelling.
Yeah.
Let's create conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Two women hate each other. Go. Yeah.
No, it's true.
It's just true.
I was agreeing with you. Didn't you see me nodding my head?
No, I don't. I didn't.
No.
Yeah, it was like, okay, let's move past this quickly. Come
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, we can wrap up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we still have our one viewer?
We do.
Thanks for staying, one viewer. You're awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much. So thanks for watching. We're going to put this up on the YouTube. Well, actually, it's going on my YouTube channel. I'll probably have to change that at some point and get it on the Game On Girl one. But yeah, this will be available to watch on YouTube, and it's also going to be available for download as a podcast episode. So yeah, we're hoping to do this monthly.
Yeah, maybe have some guests.
Maybe have
people pop in, pop out.
Exactly, have some people come in and check it out, and hang out and chat, and hopefully get a little bit more interaction from more than one viewer next time. But
spread the word. Spread the word.
Spread the word. Yes.
But
So
we
one
appreciate
viewer.
you hanging with us, viewer.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Thank you, viewer one.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I had
everybody.
fun.
Bye.
Yes, I did too. Bye.
Game on.
Game on.
Game on.